Hoy there, it's Skyward Shield. Welcome to week 12 of Football Talks. I'm a week ahead of myself. This is the Thanksgiving edition. I'll definitely be sure to get this up on Wednesday. I am
Oh man.
joined by Bill. Say hello, Bill.
Hey there, guys.
This is going to be the most positive week for us. This for the first time in the season. All four teams of ours won. Detroit won, Dallas won for once, Houston won, and New England won. So
Oh,
I am hyped. I am glad are getting better. These teams are well, the Cowboys and the Lions and the Texans are getting off the schneid. The Patriots,
yep.
it's nothing new here. But
Nothing new to
uh,
see here.
week 11 was a crazy week. I only got 6 games right. So
Yeah.
We're gonna start right away with Detroit. Bill, talk to me about your game. How did this go against the
Well,
Raiders?
the the Oakland Raiders came in a desperate football team, and the Detroit Lions came in a broken and battered football team, and both came in pretty. It was an okay game. It was kind of sloppy, to be honest. But the thing that made me feel good was that for the first time, the Lions' offense seemed to click. Matt Stafford was throwing the football all around the field. They were making some plays on the offensive side of the football, and they were actually driving up and down the field on Oakland. Uh, they they were just spreading the ball all over the place, and that's the effect of having a real signal caller and Jim Bob Cooter, eh, as opposed to uh, that that uh, that former offensive coordinator Joe Lombardi. Um, he was actually calling plays that made sense in situations that they were in. And the thing that really was worrying, though, was that the Lions continued to show a very. They would get to the red zone easily against the Raiders defense. They just couldn't punch it into the end zone. They were kicking field goals
Let's be fair.
constantly.
The Raiders' red zone defense is no slouch. So
Right.
I like to make that part clear. They have played well, especially I remember they picked off I remember they picked off Peyton when he was in the end zone, but that was Peyton in pain.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean,
continue, Bill.
you have Kelvin Johnson. You know, he's a matchup nightmare. You have Eric Ebron. He's a matchup nightmare. You want to throw it to these guys. In the case of Eric Ebron, he needs to learn how to catch the football. They kept touting how great his hands were. Well, he dropped an in zone pass that was right on his hands. He dropped it.
Oh,
He
that
flat
would have changed the game right there.
he flat out dropped the touchdown. And that was the first drive that they went down into red zone where it made it 3-0. The second drive, they drive down the field, the second scoring drive. They drive down the field. And then Amir Abdullah trips on his own feet before he can reach the end zone, and they settle for another field goal. See, that is the sort of stuff. They would have been up 14-0, and you know, they wouldn't have had to sweat out what would later occur in the game.
I will say when you mentioned Eric Ebron, reminded me. I heard Amari Cooper only got one catch for 5 yards. That'll probably be the worst game he'll ever have.
Yeah.
I guess it's
And
good to get that out of the way now.
and the good thing is that Amari Cooper had one of his worst games against a Lions banged up secondary. I mean, the Lions secondary really held up really well. In fact, really the entire defense held up really well. Uh, the Lions defense played really well against the Raiders offense. They held Derek Carr in check. They held Amari Cooper in check,
I
and
I was
really,
I was really hoping for a nice shootout because these two quarterbacks are both gunslingers. So I
yep,
thought but it just you're right, Bill. This looks like an ugly, sloppy game.
yeah,
It's
it
like
was.
just scrappy, old school football.
Yeah, it was a really crazy game. You know, the 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 thing is that they survived the Lions survived to get to the end of the game and they won it 18-16. They're the first team in NFL history to score 18 points back to back.
That
Random trivia for the podcast. I saw that stat on Twitter. I forget who actually said it, but they're the first, according to Elias Sports Bureau, they're the first team to ever score 18 points back to back. And
that's ugly football. I'm
it's
just putting that
ugly
out there.
football, but it's old school
It's
football as well.
it's still very clear they need a lot of help in multiple places. I would say the left side of their offensive line, and a cornerback. I can assure you, Bill, they are very likely going to draft a cornerback, but
They need
I hope there are good ones. I mean, Houston did take Kevin Johnson.
to be fair, I was on board last year with them either taking Shane Ray or a corner, and when they took an offensive lineman, I was happy, but I would have rather the
Where
corner or
is
the
he?
linebacker. What, Shane Ray?
No, the offensive lineman. Where is he? I haven't heard
He
his name that much.
he's been in and out of the lineup. He's been pretty bad this year. I won't lie. But
Ugh.
it's to be expected with a rookie offensive lineman. You're going against the best of the best, getting paid millions of dollars to do what they do. And if you
It's a
can't
late
block them,
first rounder, that's why.
I mean, it's a late first rounder for one, and for two, I mean, he was still pretty raw going into the season, you know.
Yeah, so
So
he's gonna have
I
to get a big learning curve done.
I don't really fault him for that, you know.
Yeah.
I I
Well,
I
remember, I'm used to Dallas's offensive linemen. As much as we all booed them for that, now look who's laughing. Jerry Jones is
I
singing in the
and
shower.
and and to be honest, really look at their first few years all together. They weren't really good. They were at best an 8-8 football team. They were getting beat constantly, and Tony Romo was taking a beating. And then they grew into their jobs, and they just now they're the most dominant offensive line.
So,
It
Bill,
just
is
takes
is that
time.
a way of saying to segue into Dallas's game, or do you have anything else to say on Detroit?
I mean, otherwise, the officiating was okay. Uh,
Oh, it wasn't New England bad. We haven't even
oh
got to
my
that.
God, that game. Oh, but we'll get to that.
Hash,
Oh, we'll get to
hashtag
that.
Whistlegate.
Oh my God,
All right. Oh no, sorry. Continue,
that
Bill.
guy. But really, the game was a sloppily played game. But I was happy that the defense showed up, the offense showed up, and they played a full game against the Oakland Raiders. They didn't sort of lollygag. They were consistent throughout the game. And if the Lions can just play consistently again and again and again, they might go on a winning streak. You never know. This is the NFL. Weird things have been going on all year. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah. All right, Bill. Then I think that's the time to transition to Romo's return. Dallas played Miami at Miami with Romo now in tow. And oh boy, what was his first throw? A left-handed throw out of his own end zone for a
In a
first down.
rainstorm.
It rained for the beginning, but after that it was okay. The sun showed up eventually, and it was clear Romo was rusty. He threw two interceptions, both one of which I say he could have avoided. The other one, Dez just wasn't trying, but Dez did try as he did get a touchdown pass. and threw up the
Yeah.
X, but Romo's still showing. Aside from those two interceptions, he is definitely an elite quarterback.
Very
Um,
much so.
I will say the touchdown for me. I wanted to give it to the pick six by Rolando McClain. He just he bailed the offensive line or the offensive side or the offensive side of Dallas when they were in the red zone, and then there was that interception because Dez did not look for the ball again. So thank you,
Right.
Rolando McClain, bailing them out. But that throw, 3rd and 10, I thought, oh, they got to get a first down. No, Romo goes for it all, throws it to Terrence Williams, who's double covered, jumps up in between those Dolphin players and gets it. It was an amazing catch, Bill. I don't
Yep.
know if you saw
And
that.
and I did not, but it goes back to what we said in the previous podcast. If you, I said, uh, I said that Tony Romo will get everyone involved. Look at who he threw it to get involved, and he made that catch. Matt Castle wasn't getting everyone involved. Tony Romo got Terrence Williams involved, and look it, they win. Spreading the football equally, I know Dez will hate that, but if you spread the ball equally, it helps get Dez Bryant open because then you don't know who to cover.
Dez got a touchdown. I don't think he's too upset.
Yeah, he's not too upset. I mean, he's making a nice bonus per touchdown catch. He's getting. I mean, I obviously that's how their contracts work, but I just if the Cowboys are going to win and win their division, they need to spread the football to everybody. And spreading the football to everybody, including your running backs out of the backfield on on the passing downs, is an amazing recipe for success. And having that offensive line, especially with screen passes or delayed handoffs, that just get the defense on its heels, and then you have one of the best improvisers in the game at quarterback.
Yeah, but I know we shouldn't talk about Romo too much. But so I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna talk about the Dallas defense played much better, but I mean it had trouble once Ryan Tannehill was able to get his offense jump started. But there was that, of course, that pick six, and and it was nice how the Dallas defense also got involved because Romo makes. You're right. Romo makes everything better. Everyone rallies around him, even the defense and including special teams. There was that good punt return that I don't know if you saw it, Bill, but had to, that for the I think that was the first time in 25 years that a punter got a unnecessary roughness flag on him for I think it was Vic Beasley that caught it for just he grabbed him, almost looked like he suplexed him. He picked him off the ground and made him land on his head. That punter came to play.
see, this is why you never see. This is the the thing is you never know. The Miami Dolphins might have been chiding him like, "Oh, you're a punter. You're not a real athlete." And he just goes out there and he's like, "I'm going to show you I'm not a real athlete," and suplexes a guy. He, you know what that sort of reminds me of? It sort of reminds me of the War Boy. He just snaps and goes, and just picks him up and suplexes people.
So yeah. So Bill, do you know what this game basically was though? It was the Dirty Bowl. You had Ndamukong Suh on one side and Greg Hardy on the other. Who won it? Who lost this game, Bill? I'll tell you who lost. The loser. Oh, it was America for having these two still in the game, having these two still playing. But
Oh man.
apparently, the Cowboys are losing faith in Hardy. Though I think he had an okay game. I don't think he got a sack because I'm pretty sure everyone's going to go in the opposite direction he's lined up in. Similar to J.J. Watt. Why would you have your runner go in the direction he's in? That's a bad idea.
Right. It's it's not good football sense. You run away from the best player on defense. You attack the worst players on defense.
Yeah, but Greg Hardy made that lineman look bad. Though to be fair, and when I was gonna say about Sue, Zach Martin handled him well. He did not let him go. And keep in mind, Zach Martin last year, and this is a memory I don't like. Zach Martin actually not threw J.J. Watt, but he pushed him back and made him fall. It's pretty crazy. So those Zach Martin and that offensive line are just physical. They do not let up that easy. It's hard to, but it was a very what?
No, the Cowboys' offensive line has a mean streak to them. They have a mean streak, and that's what you like in your offensive lineman.
Exactly, and that's good. So that's good, but honestly, I still really worry for their corners. I hope that there are a lot of teams that could use corners, and I just don't think there's not enough that come out of the draft. They don't channel out fast enough. You see more receivers and defensive linemen than anything, so it's kind of a hard thing to do, but what could you do? So yeah, I was glad Romo returned. He got 2 touchdowns, just as I expected him to. So yeah, the defense is clicking, the offense is clicking now. Romo, I think, has shaken off that rust. It was good he made those mistakes there, and they didn't cost them too much. Especially since Rolando McClain literally bailed out Romo 1 play later. So my pick still stands. I'm definitely now confident Dallas can pull the upset. I just don't think Carolina should go 16-0. Though, Bill, I know we're not talking New England yet. Here's the proposition. You know how there hasn't been an undefeated team since the 2007 Patriots?
Right.
What if that happened where 2 teams went perfect and they both played in a Super Bowl? That would be basically the perfect Super Bowl. Wouldn't that be amazing? Super Bowl 50. 2 16-0 teams have won every single game. And one of them is going to get.
Think of it this way: both teams would be 18-0 at that point.
They would be. So someone's going to go 19-0, the other goes 18-1. The perfect bowl. That's what you call it. The perfect Super Bowl on Super Bowl 50.
Then the golden NFL shield would be a perfect symbol for that, because that would be the golden Super Bowl. I just like the thought of having 2 undefeated teams in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I realized that this morning when I was preparing for this podcast, and I was like, you know what? That sounds really cool. But
to be honest, it could happen. It could happen. This is the weirdest year in NFL history. There's just so much weirdness happening. 2 undefeated teams in the regular season, it could happen.
It could. That would be fun, but to me, Carolina's really big challenge comes up today, or this Thursday on Thanksgiving. Hopefully we'll get the Cowboys that played the Raiders 2 years ago and just blew them out. And not the Cowboys of last year. Oh, that's not the one I want to see. But anyway, so let's talk about another Texas team who I also counted out again. Maybe I should just keep picking against them like how you pick against the Lions. Because Houston, with Ryan Fitzpatrick coming back, I thought he'd come with a chip on his shoulder and just score for 3 touchdowns to Brandon Marshall. That did not happen. Marshall got 1 touchdown, but it was all Houston defense and all DeAndre Hopkins. Bill, let me ask you something.
Yes?
Okay, so I've had trouble. I'm trying to search Revis Island, but I can't seem to find it anywhere on the map. Do you know why?
Because it pulled in Atlantis and got sunk.
It didn't get sunk, Bill. It got nuked. Hopkins made Revis look terrible. He made him look like a terrible cornerback. And that's not to disregard Darrelle Revis. He is a great cornerback. But Revis Island is no more. DeAndre Hopkins, or as his Twitter account, nuked a bomb. He just nuked it. He nuked it. It's off the face of the map when he's around. So yeah, DeAndre Hopkins gets 2 touchdowns to him. 1 off a bootleg play. A beautiful bootleg play. You know what it reminded me of, Bill? That bootleg play by Case Keenum in the worst season that the Texans have ever had. The one we don't speak of, but that's one of the brightest moments. for me when Case Keenum runs a boot, throws it to a wide open Andre Johnson.
Yep.
That's
And
that's what I love to see.
yeah, I mean, and really, DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, who are you going to put on that guy to stop him? He is just right now. He's unstoppable. He
It's
is
Bill. I want to
unstoppable.
know. Can you give me like a top 3 to top 5 wide receivers right now?
Top three to top five.
Yeah, you can give me
I
3 or
could. I
5.
could. I would go DeAndre Hopkins number one because he leads the league in receiving yards,
Not
and
no
that
not
counts.
anymore. It's Julio Jones and Antonio
I,
Brown. But remember, there was a week where Hopkins
I
had a bye recently, and that
if
helped. That did not help.
if you think about it though, I still have he's still the youngest and he's still growing into being an even better
You know,
player.
I'll be honest. You know who he reminds me of a lot? I think I made this comparison before, but first I want to make that point clear. He should be number one because he's had not good quarterbacks. Imagine if he had a good quarterback like now I'm not saying it don't need to be Tom Brady, but let's say someone who's like a little lower than that, like Romo or Cam Newton or Russell Wilson. And
Yeah,
suddenly this guy could definitely have been at like 1,500 yards at least by now and 2 more touchdowns. But anyway,
I mean,
DeAndre Hopkins reminds me of Kawhi Leonard. They were young and then they break out quickly and then all of a sudden it's really hard to go up against them. It's
yeah,
really hard to be lined up against them and have the job of don't let this guy make big plays.
they turn into instant superstars.
Yeah,
Uh,
with your Pistons right now, you have Andre Drummond, right?
yeah, he's went from nothing 2 years ago or last year to instant superstar this year, and it's an amazing thing to watch because those type of players are not common. The instant superstar types, Kawhi Leonard's just don't appear. I mean, I can think of only maybe a few instant superstar players in any sport.
Yeah.
You know,
So the reason why I ask you rank your top 5 because one guy, a scout on NFL media asked for this on Twitter. He put his own. They all put like
oh,
Antonio Brown or Julio Jones, which I get because statistically, Antonio Brown only got to the top because of that monster game where he pretty much
uh,
carried the Steelers against the Raiders. But here are my
uh,
ranks: DeAndre Hopkins, Julio Jones, Antonio Brown, Larry Fitzgerald, and Des Bryant. That's based on now,
right.
but I don't know who you have
I
where. But I'm
I
assuming you
would
have Julio and Brown 2 and 3
I
somewhere.
I definitely have Julio. I definitely have Antonio Brown. I have Dez and Calvin.
That's good. Calvin's on the decline, which worries me. But
Well,
what?
I wouldn't put it that he's on the decline. He had a shitty. He had. I'm just gonna call a spade a spade. He had a shitty offensive coordinator that had no idea what he was doing.
I would say he's having an Arian Foster phase where he keeps getting hurt. It just doesn't help.
Yeah, I mean, Jim Bob Cooter is actually involving him in the offense, whereas that piece of garbage, Lombardi, he didn't know how to use Kelvin Johnson. How do you not know how to use a 6'4" guy? I don't get it, but I'm not gonna go into that rant because I despise. If there's someone that's gonna join the Jim Schwartz club, is Joe Lombardi.
Bill, I already told you before we recorded. I'm putting someone in the Jim Schwartz club, but I honestly
Yep.
think he's gonna take the place as the head of the club, and it'll be his club. But we'll talk about
I
that later. Let's go back to this game. The other big
Yep.
play. Well, Clowney kind of got his first sack. It was split with John Simon. They both just sandwiched Fitzpatrick. Get wrecked.
Ugh.
And then Clowney got 2 tackles, one for loss, and a deflected pass. He's getting in. He's getting into it, Bill. But he just needs to stay healthy. Then
Yep.
my dream comes true. It's like you have Whitney Merciless and Clowney switching together And it's one nightmare after another. When you think you're clear of one, another it's like you think one monster's gone and then another one takes his place.
And then they're getting rested, and they're it's a no-win situation facing the Houston defense. And the best part is that they're only going to get stronger.
Yes, and I am so glad for that. J.J. Watt had I think another sack or two. I want to say he got two,
Like that.
but a good game by him. And he was also tearing up supposedly great offensive line for the Jets. I think it's starting to decline a bit, but
Yeah, I mean,
what?
I think we're starting to see DeBrickashaw start decline a little bit, and a few of the other offensive linemen they have. It's just only a matter of time. I mean, once you get past 30, you start losing stuff.
Yeah, but
it's
Bill,
only natural.
So before I go back to the defense, because I want to talk about that last, there's one other offensive play I want to mention that I guess it was it? I don't know if it was the Wildcat or not, but I think T.J. Yates, who had a great game, no turnovers by the way, he just does a backward shovel pass to Cecil Shorts, who, need I remind you, last year threw a touchdown against Houston on the final week of the game of last season. Threw it to an open Alfred Blue. I will say I'm losing faith in Alfred Blue as a running back, but he is a good catcher. I think he's a good catcher, which they need. But if he can just figure out how to run right, be patient, and take advantage of the small holes given to him, I think he'll replace Foster. But so I thought that was phenomenal. I like those tricky plays, but against an elite team like the Patriots, which they'll be playing in a few weeks, that shit won't work. They're ready for that already. Like, if you want to trick a team, you have to if you want to trick teams, you have to save it for the best when you haven't showed your hand. Like, you showed your hand now, they're gonna be ready for it. But so with that said about the offense, the last thing, the defense is finally reminding me of last year's defense. Physical, tries to stop the run, makes it hard to throw, and turnovers. Turnovers. 2 turnovers at the end of the game that sealed it for the Texans. I need to see more of that. If they play like that for the rest of the season, Bill, I have no doubt they will beat Hasselbeck and the Colts. Even if Andrew Luck was there, that might even be worse on them. But because Hasselbeck is old, and even against the bad Falcons team, that line was a joke because he kept getting hit. If he wasn't getting sacked, Hasselbeck was getting hit. And I just think that's what Houston's going to do to Hasselbeck. And who do they have behind him? Charlie Whitehurst, a.k.a. Clipboard Jesus. That guy was a former backup for the Titans. And it's just, no. There's no way they'll win with him. So,
True.
If the Texans defense plays like this, I believe the Colts will not even get in the playoffs, and they will lose the division to the Texans. And Bill, the worst nightmare will come to reality. I've mentioned this to you before a few days ago, but this is the last thing I want to mention before we move on to New England. Do you remember what I said a few days ago regarding Sunday Night Football? Tell me, how do Al and Chris like to have their final games?
NFC East slugfest.
That might happen. Honestly, I think it'll happen if the Eagles actually get their shit together. Because I've had one possibility, well, two kind of, but I don't think it will be a concern anymore. Seattle, Arizona, or at Arizona for the final week, but I don't think that'll happen because I just see Arizona stealing this one at like 13-3, 14-2. I think my 14-2 reality for Seattle might come true. They just got like 2 more good teams to play. But anyway, it's them, Eagles at Giants, or is it Giants at Eagles? It's one or the other. And this one, Bill, I know they like this. They love those games where only one team can go in the playoffs and the other goes home. And if the Jaguars actually beat the Colts too, which I think it might very well happen. I mean, Allen Robinson for the Jaguars is getting better. He's actually one of the fastest receivers next to Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson's currently the fastest running wide receiver. So that's scary when the Jaguars basically have a poor man's Deshaun Jackson.
Oh yeah.
We
I
have
mean,
one too in Cecil Shorts, but he's a little older. But I'm just saying, Bill, Jaguars at Texans might very well be the final Sunday night football.
it very possibly could be, and it could be for a division championship. I'm not sold on the Indianapolis Colts at all.
I'm not sold anymore because I want to remind you of the Colts schedule because right now they host the Buccaneers, who are feisty. I honestly want to pick them to steal this from the Colts. So then they go Sunday Night Football at Pittsburgh. With or without Bell, I expect Roethlisberger to torch them. Then they go to Jacksonville. And like I
To
say,
be
they
fair,
could steal that one. They could lose it.
very possible. I mean, Indianapolis is very much set up for a 3-game losing streak
And,
right
and
here. I
then they
mean,
host the Texans, which the Texans have never beaten them there. Last year they could have if Fitzpatrick was healthy, and I think they would have. But this year, with Hasselback, he's probably going to get beat up a lot by that point because he's going to play some good defenses. Then they have the Dolphins, and they got the dirty player Ndamukong Suh to welcome Andrew Luck. I'm pretty sure he's going to come back that Dolphins game. And then the final game is hosting the Titans. So, Bill, I'm telling you, I don't want Houston in the playoffs, but I think it will happen. It just feels like it's gonna come down to Jacksonville and Houston because the Jaguars' schedule is easy too. It's not, if not, it's the easiest. They played all the good teams, but you know what? I'm not gonna talk about their schedule because we don't need to worry. I don't. I've already put too much time on them. But just saying, Bill, if it comes to Jaguars at Houston, I just want to be the one to say I told you so to the world. Just boy, that'll be interesting.
could very possibly happen.
I love NRG Stadium at night. I love its atmosphere, Bill. It's a lot different from other places, but maybe that's because I'm a little biased. But anyway, let's move on to the ugly one. This game was ugly with Whistlegate, and Rex Ryan just never wants to
Oh,
give up to Bill Belichick and kiss the rings. Well, guess what, Rex Ryan? You gotta kiss the rings again. It was an ugly game, but Belichick and the Patriots won injured too. 20-13, and one of the more worst officiating games. I still don't think it's the worst though.
oh.
I,
And here's the issue with the New England game, and it was an abs. And guess who was officiating that game?
was it the Lions one for that playoff game last year?
Yes, it was
Ugh.
Peter Morelli. Peter Morelli, the garbage man himself. He was officiating that game. And I want to just say something to the NFL. When are you going to fire this embarrassment of a referee? That game was the most embarrassingly bad officiated game in the history of the NFL. I mean, there was the playoff game last year, and he was the head referee of that game. And it was poorly officiated. He had no idea what he was doing. He was a garbage. He was garbage. But this game, how do you blow the whistle when Tom Brady was running towards the sideline and was not out of bounds,
Not even close.
and not even close, or B, Danny Amendola catches the football and was nowhere near being out of bounds himself?
I won't
How
lie.
do you blow the whistle?
I'm pretty sure he would have gone all the way, or at least have been in the 10-yard line for first and goal on that drive.
Exactly. I mean, he had open field ahead of him, and
And he had like
and
2 or 3 yards of separation from the nearest corner.
yeah, Amendola is a short little dude and he can just fly all over the field. But things like that in an NFL game, you have professional athletes, you need to have professional referees. That's their job. Who cares if they're getting paid for 9 months not even officiating? Have professional referees that are on your docket, that are constantly professionals, because that game was officiated in the most ridiculously bad manner possible. I mean, how many times did they stop the game to fix the clock? It not only gave New England multiple times that they had like a pseudo timeout, they also gave Buffalo pseudo timeouts doing that.
Honestly,
It was horrifyingly bad.
well, I want to say I think there's only one game that was worse than this, and that was the Chicago Lions game, because they don't know where the catch is. They just Bill, you saw that game more than me, but do you think that one was the worst one? Because from what I remember vaguely, I thought that one was the worstly officiated game. It's either that or the Seattle game, but that was just one big call blown. You know what I mean?
Well,
To me, to make the worst officiated game, it's got to be the whole game, not just one big play.
Well, I also don't count the referee strike year as officiated because they were officiated by replacements. So I don't count that season. The one you're talking about, the Fail Mary.
No, I'm talking about
Seattle,
this year.
Oh, the Seattle Green Bay game.
No, I'm talking about
earlier
this year's Chicago. I was talking about either the Detroit Seattle game that we had on Monday Night Football.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't want to count it because it was just one really bad play that they missed.
It was one really bad play. I'm looking at a whole game.
I'm looking at Chicago Detroit from this year. You know, that overtime win.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
okay, so I want to make a note. Edelman's hurt too. A sprained knee. He'll be week to week, but this is a short week against what is arguably the best defense in the league right now in Denver, who are rallying behind Brock Osweiler. And I'm not going to talk about whether Brock Osweiler is the guy, though his first win was impressive. But now But what I'm worried about is they have the Patriots have only two healthy wide receivers, Brandon LaFell and some other guy. I don't know when Keyshawn Martin will return. I'm pretty sure Keyshawn Martin will be around for the Texans game, and I have a good prediction for him there. Oh boy!
And I have a thought about Bill Belichick and his wide receiver situation, and here's the issue: is he has Danny Amendola returning punts. Now you're already down Julian Edelman. Now I know that you practice with your special teams unit all season, but maybe here's a thought, and it bugs me around the league too. I hate that Golden Tate returns punts for the Lions. Here's the thing: you should not have one of your integral pieces of your offense returning punts, because that sort of stuff is common on punt returns and kick returns. Majority of a lot of injuries are occurring in punt returns and kick returns. And guess what? You just got the guy that's replacing your most productive wide receiver injured for no reason, returning punt returns. And typically, they're not returnable anyways. Have someone else return punts. Have someone that's hungry for a job return punts. You can keep Danny Amendola on the sideline, so that way he's fresh and you don't get him injured.
Yeah, but anyway, I want to talk about the other side with the New England defense and then Buffalo's offense, because New England's defense played well, I'm liking their front seven now. I'm buying into it because even though Vince Wilfork's gone, they're fine because you have
Yep.
Dante Hightower. What's his name? There's another guy.
Chandler.
Yeah,
There's
Chandler Jones. Ninkovich. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Rob Ninkovich.
They are playing great. I'm liking them. I wouldn't put them like top 10 off front sevens, but they are doing great. Here's a crazy thing though. The Patriots are a better defense than the Broncos in terms of points. They have allowed lesser points than the Broncos have, just by one, but that's still a note worth making. It's hard to score touchdowns against the Patriots.
Yep.
So I'm impressed with that. That is great. But so at least the defense is fine. But what worries me is the offense. And in fact, another thing for Buffalo fans, I honestly would try to make sure Tyrod Taylor doesn't start this week against. Guess who they're going to play, Bill? Because Tyrod Taylor's shoulder's hurt. Rex Ryan says he's assuring everybody that Tyrod Taylor will play against the Chiefs. I don't care if he's ready. I wouldn't play him against the Chiefs team that's on fire right now.
Exactly.
They had the heaviest player score a touchdown. That's the heaviest touchdown player to make a touchdown in NFL history. In Dante Poe. You don't want that guy on Tyrod Taylor because his arm will definitely break. So
Yeah, I mean,
I would throw that game away. I know because that's a wild card team. Though as these two are trying to fight for a wild card spot, and this win would be nice to have, but I would throw it away just because I don't want Tyrod Taylor hurt. I want him fresh, and I want him for the rest of the game. So you lose to Kansas City, beat Houston, steal it from Houston and whatever team's next, because they play Houston in 2 weeks, and I'm pretty sure Tyrod Taylor's playing that game, Houston will lose. But anyway,
Right.
So anything else to say about New England? I'm just worried about this next game. I really want to pick the Broncos, but I'm going to stick with my gut and with Tom Brady. I want to put my faith in him still.
Overall, I feel like this is all going to Bill Belichick's plan. What he needs to do is make sure that when Amendola gets back, they take him off the punt team. That is immediate because you need to keep Amendola healthy, and then you have a lot of weapons still. You know, they're a little short on weapons right now. You still have Gronk, you still have LaFell. It's Harper and God knows what else you have behind him.
But LaFell's there, so they still have one good one. He just needs to, lose that rust. Because it's harder for a wide receiver to shake off rust than it is a quarterback. Because, a quarterback's going to make plays almost every time. That's why it's easy for someone like Romo to shake the rust off in a single game, whereas a wide receiver or a defensive player, they might need more than that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
But overall,
oh, what?
Overall, that was it.
Yeah. Anyway, anything else? Because I have a couple notes. First, I want to say, you got something to say?
No. I was gonna say no. I don't really have too many notes for this week.
I feel bad for Keenum because Jeff Fisher is really wanting to lose his job. He had a concussion. It was clear he had one. Even the players were like, "You need to get out of here." And he had to stick to it, and it cost them the game. I thought Keenum did okay for just getting randomly put in, but
Yep.
if I would have switched him there and put Nick Foles, at least you have a fresh quarterback. And then the Ravens had to suddenly, how is this guy gonna do? They didn't obviously prepare for both.
Oh yeah.
So, but poor Keenum, I don't think he'll beat. I don't know what will happen to him, but
yeah, I mean,
the Rams needed this game and they blew it. So that's their. I don't think they're going in the playoffs anymore now, because their schedule's about to get rough. They go at Bengals, who are furious, and then host to Cardinals, which they might win because they're really good against their divisional opponents. I've noticed, but I don't think they'll win that one. But anyway, the other team or other game I want to make a note of is ironically the Cardinals. Bill, I am certain the Cardinals could easily go 14-2 or 13-3 and be probably be the second team, a second seed because I don't know if the Panthers will lose more than 2 games, if they will lose one at all. Just the Cowboys are the best bet. But yeah, Cardinals play ugly. They for 2 weeks in a row they've had a bad start, but they still come in aggressive, put up points, and they just sneak another one away. You could say that's a little worrisome, but I see it as something good because, like, even when Bill Belichick and the Patriots have bad games, they just come back and then they play aggressive and they just come out of the rut. So if the Panthers quarterback doesn't come, or not quarterback, coach of the year, I'm pretty sure Bruce Arians is gonna get it again. Not just for me, but from the NFL at the end of the year. But
very possible.
it is very possible. But yeah, Bengals. I wouldn't be worried for them because Andy Dalton does not like the sun, or he loves the sun. He doesn't like the moon. He needs the sun to power him up. He's solar powered. But now it's all day games from there, and then you have a weakened Rams team who was losing hope to feast upon. But then again, we said that about Houston, and then look at what happened. So who knows? But I'm pretty sure the Bengals will rebound, and I think they'll probably get the second or third spot, depending on when they play the Broncos at the end of the year, which will be very fun. Oh no, that's a nighttime game. Uh-oh. They've got one final test. Never mind. But yeah, I thought that was good. And then Chip Kelly. What's going to happen?
Yeah.
I bet he's kicking himself because not only did Jameis Winston torched him, and I know he wanted him or Marcus Mariota, but oh boy, Jameis Winston humiliated the Eagles. Which this is the perfect way to segue into our 5-5 teams that can go into that can take a playoff spot, because I can guarantee at least 2 that can get in maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Bucks are one of the AFC teams, and I want to say this: if they get in the playoffs, I can guarantee you Winston will get that MVP, offensive rookie MVP of the year. I can guarantee it. It's his by that point. Even if they get blown out, shutout maybe, like 45-0 against some other team, he still got it.
Oh yeah.
You took the worst team in football last year into the playoffs. That is hard to do.
Yep.
Houston nearly did it. They nearly did it, but they came up short because Baltimore won. But Baltimore is one of the worst teams in football. Ha!
Yep.
But anyway, so Bill, the other NFC teams are the Giants and the Seahawks. The AFC teams, there are a lot of them: the Bills, the Jets, the Texans, the Colts, and the Chiefs. All teams are 5-5. Bill, you have the playoff picture here now, and I want to know, who do you think can get in?
Okay. So obviously, a few of those 5-5 teams are vying for division championships, and that's Indy and Houston. And of that, I would say, and I know this is going to shock you, I'm going to say that Houston has a better shot than Indy. Indy is looking bad, and they are going to get exposed. And their defense is terrible, and it's just getting worse.
You know what's ironic though? We're talking about Indy like they lost this week, but they actually stole one from Atlanta. But
I mean, they stole one from Atlanta, but I mean, they don't look good. They look bad, and I mean, they're getting ready. I of the 5-5 teams that are those 2 are fighting for a division championship, I have no confidence in the Colts. So I'm going with Houston to win the division, and that's a good chance. Of the other teams that are vying for a wild card spot, AFC wise, I'm going to actually pick the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh yeah, you have a fair point. They've won all their games despite Jamal Charles not being there. We all buried him immediately. I know I did. So They have actually the easiest schedule. But I mean, they're done with the Broncos, so they're not a problem. But they have to go to the Raiders. They got to go to the black hole, and I think they will lose to
Yep.
them. But I think they'll split. And then I think they got to deal with the Chargers one more time. Easy win right there. It's easy
Yeah,
for them.
I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs just, I feel like they're getting their swagger back, if I could use that term. I feel like they're starting to get their mojo, and their defense is coming around again. And I feel like this is the perfect time to peak. And they're peaking at the right time. And as long as you're winning and you're peaking, that's all that matters. And you can carry that momentum into the playoffs.
Yeah, so they also have Baltimore to add to the list of easier wins, and then they host the Browns. They could very well win most of their games. So that's going to be interesting.
But NFC side, and I know a lot of people are going to groan and be like, "Oh no, not them again." But I'm going Seattle because they have the heart of a champion, and when everyone's counting them out, they're going to use it as motivation and be like, "Okay, I want to show you, and I want to show you, and I want to show you, and we're going to show the world, and we're going to finish out the season and win."
Yeah, they have okay. Look, I'm pretty sure the Vikings and the Packers, one of them is going to take that spot, and it's very likely it'll be the Vikings in the wild card spot. They'll probably be the fifth seed and play the Cowboys, Giants, Eagles, Washington football team, whoever takes it, because it's still up for grabs. It's just
I mean,
what?
That division's gonna go to the very last week, and it's gonna be 8-8.
8-8, 9-7, but anyway, the Falcons. Honestly, I thought, they'd win just enough because they're pretty. It's like they've done almost all their work. They're like 80% done with their work. They just need to get a little bit more done, and they'll get enough to pass. But I don't know.
Yep.
They could have taken out the Colts, and then I think they would have had somebody else, but I don't remember who. But yeah, now they're in trouble. The Buccaneers, I just don't know. But then again, they are playing. I mean, they still got to play. They got to play the Colts, and they have some of their other division games which involve the Panthers, which that won't be easy. But I mean, who knows? They can take it. They could, but I'm gonna have to say it's probably gonna be Seattle for the NFC side. It just doesn't seem likely that any of the other two will take it. But I will point one thing out: they do have a good test against the Steelers. Whoever wins,
Yep.
the Steelers need that one because then they could close the gap against the Bengals. Because the Bengals would at one point look like, you got to beat at least Houston or Arizona or both, and you've pretty much closed up your division. But no, you don't. You lost to both of them, so now they're a little bit sweaty. But I don't think they still got the division, honestly. But it's just. Oh boy, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seahawks game is going to be ugly. I'm just telling you that because they both need it. They both need it to secure a playoff spot. But anyway, so I don't know. I like the way it's coming down to the wire, Bill. We haven't had one of those where a lot of teams can take this. We're gonna have a lot of awkward situations to determine who gets in for like the 6 seeds of both sides, maybe. For sure, the AFC because it's a clusterfuck in the AFC.
So true.
Boy. I mean, I'm still hoping for the Raiders to, pull some wins. They can rally against the Titans this week, but who knows. Anyway, one other thing I just remembered. Do you remember before the Carolina Panthers came to be in 1995? Do you know where a lot of the Carolina people looked towards which team they looked? Because it wasn't Atlanta. Do you want to?
It was the Washington football team.
Yeah, and Washington football team just tweeted this like a day before the game. Carolina is, I hate saying their name, but I'm gonna say it this once, is hashtag Redskins country. And then, Bill, the Panthers just do what we do. They never mention their name. They mocked them for that tweet. Not only did they mock them, but they kept referring to them. Whenever they say, week 1 against Washington. Now you can get this deal at some place. They just have mocking them, but they would never say their name. Oh, and what they said too. It's like, at least we don't have to worry about our trademarks. Carolina Panthers Twitter is easily getting up there for one of my favorite media teams with the Arizona Cardinals and Taco Bell's Twitter. Because, oh boy, but as things stand, I still gotta go with the Cardinals because they've just been consistently at this for a year now. But Bill, remember? Nice win, Lions. That black cat high fives the dude.
Oh yeah.
I bet they'll do that again in 2 weeks when the Packers play the Lions. Can't wait for that. But anyway, Bill. It's time. It's time for Week 12 Thanksgiving edition picks. Are you ready, Bill?
Am I ready? I am ready!
Alright, start us off with the Thanksgiving slate. A feast of football games for sure.
The game when everyone's making their, starting to make their turkey dinners. The sort of stuff when you start getting family over on the East Coast. The Philadelphia Eagles at noon, 12:30 actually, but the Philadelphia Eagles at the Detroit Lions.
Bill, I've got to say it. I've said it many times, but I gotta get it one more time. The Lions are actually gifted a bird for Thanksgiving, and they shall feast on these Eagles. I have the Lions taking this, and Chip Kelly, the spiral begins. The bomb has been dropped. The Eagles are going to lose almost every single game after this, and out goes Chip Kelly.
Mark Sanchez runs into the ass of his own offensive lineman for the second time on Thanksgiving, causing Butt Fumble, the sequel, Butt Fumble 2, the fumbling. And the Lions win the game. I know I picked against them, but after 2 in a row, I gotta get drunk off the hype juice now.
All right, Bill. I don't blame you for that, but honestly, I've had this one picked since the beginning. This was one of those few games I've kept in check for the whole way through. But anyway, Bill, give us the next game.
Now the game that us East Coasters always have dinner to, it's the Carolina Panthers at the Dallas Cowboys.
Bill, I've said it before, I'm saying it again. Romo's now shaking off that rust. He should play well against that Panthers team. It's going to come down to the very end. But I believe Dallas will take this one from Carolina, and they will lose their undefeated streak.
And I just can't pick against a 10-0 team. I can't.
You would pick it if they were playing the Patriots this week instead, though.
I mean, 10-0 against 10-0 would be crazy, but I just gotta go Carolina. I want to see a 2-16-0 Super Bowl.
I won't lie, Bill. I do too, but you know what? I'll be honest. The Panthers, I think, would lose to these teams. I think they would lose to the Cardinals. I think they would lose to Pittsburgh if they had Le'Veon Bell. And I think they would lose to the Patriots. It's just, they're a great team. I can't deny that anymore. I can't say it's a fluke. But among the perfect teams so far that we've seen in recent history, they are not the best, because if they had star wide receivers, this team would be killing. They would be blowing out every team, basically.
But what's scary is that they're doing this without star wide.
I know, but I'm just saying it would be a lot more humiliating for every team they've played if they had at least one star wide receiver. But speaking of a team that needs a star wide receiver, it's the final game of Thanksgiving.
The final game of Thanksgiving is the Chicago Bears at the Green Bay Packers.
Which one was I talking about? The Packers or the Bears? It doesn't matter. The Packers are going to be playing with emotion, because I believe this is the day Brett Favre's number gets retired or something formally at a game.
Yep.
So, oh boy, I'm talking 55-21 game here. I'm calling a 50 bomb. The Packers are going to be playing they're going to play their best game of the season.
And I also have Green Bay. As much as it pains me to say that, I just can't see how the Bears are going to win.
Yeah. All right, Bill. Now we're gonna go back to Sunday football, back to
And
normal.
now the stuffing on an already amazing plate of games. Sunday, the New Orleans Saints at the Houston Texans.
All right, Bill. I am hooked on the Texans now. I'm gonna give it to them because the Saints cannot do anything against good defenses. That Houston defense is playing at a high level right now, and the Saints have no defense. Even with Rob Ryan gone, they are not gonna stop Hopkins. And I think Browner for the Saints, former Patriot actually, is going to get flagged 3 times for pass interference and defensive holding or illegal contact.
Yep.
And DeAndre Hopkins, 3 touchdowns against the Saints. I have the Texans taking this easy.
I also have the Texans humiliating the Saints. They are just terrifyingly bad on defense. They're the worst. I said last year about Dallas's defense not being good. This is one of the worst defenses I've ever seen.
I love it. I don't like the Saints, Bill, so this makes me happy.
All right. So next up, the St. Louis Rams at the Cincinnati Bengals.
This one's over. Sorry, I don't care if Case Keenum was starting or not. This is just no hope for the Rams. Poor Rams. They just needed to win that Ravens game, and they could have still stuck in it for a little while longer. But I've got to give it to the Bengals, who are angry.
Yep. I can't see how the Rams are going to beat the Bengals. The Bengals are out for blood, and they are going to win.
All right, Bill.
Next up, the Minnesota Vikings at the Atlanta Falcons.
This is a game I'm changing my pick to. The Falcons are probably not going to have Devontae Freeman. And what would have been like the most rushing yards in a game ever is not going to happen. I'm going to give it to the Vikings, who just punish the Falcons for existing. The worst team with a winning record, by the way.
I also have the Minnesota Vikings beating the Atlanta Falcons. I think AP's gonna run wild on that team. Next up, the New York Giants at the Washington Football Team.
Everyone seems to be going with the Giants here, but I just got to point out, this is home. This is at home. Washington's actually a team you don't want to play at home. They're good. All their massive shootout games where they just humiliate teams have been at home. They're a much different team at home, and I have the Washington Football Team taking it from the Giants and keeping that NFC East playoff spot alive as ever.
It really all depends on what Washington team comes out. I think we're going to see a bad team. I think we're going to see a Giants win, but not by much.
I say we see a good one because, like I said, they play better at home than they do on the road.
Yep. Next up, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at the Indianapolis Colts.
This is another game I switched my picks to. I have the Buccaneers taking this from the Colts. Oh boy, Jameis Winston's going to get 3 touchdowns this time.
And I am also picking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
You sound a little hesitant there, Bill.
To beat the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I'm always hesitant because of Indy's wide receiver core, but I mean, Hasselbeck he's old as dirt, and that defense is terrible. And I mean, you just gotta go.
You could call for a shootout here.
I mean, I'm just picking the Buccaneers. I'm not the hazard a guess at the score.
I'll be honest. If Luck were playing, I would have called for a high-scoring game like the Giants Saints game. I would have called for one of those. But Hasselbeck is going to play conservative here.
Yep. Next up, the Buffalo Bills at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Oh boy. Like I said, Tyrod Taylor's too hurt, whether he's playing or not. If he plays, I think he's going to be out for the rest of the year because this Chiefs defense is always out for blood now. I have the Chiefs winning at Arrowhead with the blood of the Bills. Not your blood, Bill. Don't worry, you're fine.
I was gonna say I'm afraid, and I also have the Chiefs defeating the Bills. It just is. Chiefs are peaking at the right time, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's better to win your games at the end. It's better to do better at the end than at the beginning. Because if that happens, you're basically what is now the Atlanta Falcons. Next game.
All right. Next up, the Oakland Raiders at the Tennessee Titans.
The Titans are done. The Raiders are going to stuff Mariota, getting 3 sacks on him. And Amari Cooper's going to get back on track. 2 touchdowns to him. I have the Raiders taking this one.
I also have the Raiders, but I think this one will be a shootout.
Oh, really? Oh, man, Bill, I'm sorry, but I have to disagree just because I think Khalil Mack will be getting a sack and Justin Tuck will be getting one too. Should be fun, hopefully.
Yep. Next up, the San Diego Chargers at the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Honestly, this one's another shootout, but I'm going to go to the Chargers because, I don't know, Phillip Rivers still gets a lot of yards in games most of the time, but I just feel that there's no way they should drop this one. I said that last week, but now I have to take the Chiefs seriously, so I won't make that mistake again.
Here we go. Upset time. It's the Jacksonville Jaguars time.
Isn't it?
They're going to go 5-6, and they're going to have a chance at a playoff spot.
You see, Bill, this is the weird thing. I would say the Chargers are the underdog here.
I mean, if you think about recent history, though.
Yeah. But if you're going off standings, clearly the Chargers are the underdog. And they have a waning fan base, too, because they know the Charger fate. But anyway, Bill, next game
is the Miami Dolphins at the New York Jets.
Ryan Fitzpatrick will get back on track, and this will be an ugly game, but I think it'll be a 13-7 game, and I have the Jets winning this one.
I also have the Jets winning this game because the defense is going to score 3 touchdowns.
All right, Bill.
All right.
We should be going to the 4 o'clock games, right?
4 o'clock games, yep. The Arizona Cardinals at the San Francisco 49ers.
Ah, yes, this is what I want to see. Arizona, after having 2 ugly wins, they're going to just knock off the 49ers, giving them hope for the first-round pick again. I have the Cardinals just punishing the 49ers for living.
Oh, my God. The Cardinals are going to score 42 points by halftime.
Oh, Carson Palmer is going to get benched for Drew Stanton because of how good he played.
He's going to be getting some rest at halftime.
Yeah.
Next up, the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Seattle Seahawks.
Bill, I want to hear your pick first for this one.
All right. So, I have the Seattle Seahawks defeating the Pittsburgh Steelers. And here's the only reason why I think that's not happen is I think Thomas Rawls is going to run all over the Steelers defense. And I don't think Marshawn Lynch is going to play.
Oh, he's out, remember? He got the surgery, I think, already for the sports hernia.
Oh yeah.
So he's in the same boat as Edelman, hopefully for the IR boomerang for playoffs because they already think they're going to get in. But yeah, so is that?
But I mean, I that's how I see it happening. I'm not. I think it'll be a 20-17 game, though.
All right, I'm gonna have to just go bold here. I'm going to go Pittsburgh. Originally, I wanted Seattle because Pittsburgh lost Bell. Not because it's Le'Veon Bell, but they would have had Bell and Williams. So you would have had the Seattle defense on their toes at all times. But I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to steal it. I just don't know. Something just doesn't feel right with that defense. Though I will say, or with the Seattle defense. Though I will say, Richard Sherman will definitely contain Antonio Brown, but because of that, the other receivers like Martavius Bryant are going to just emerge. Because, like I said 2 weeks ago, how the Raiders gave Antonio Brown a lot of distance, I can assure you Richard Sherman will not give Antonio Brown an inch. Next game, though, Bill,
is the Sunday night game, which is New England Patriots at the Denver Broncos.
I'm a little worried about this one, but I'm going to give it to the Patriots regardless. I'm putting my faith in Brady because I think he'll pull away through this good Denver defense and win it for Belichick and go 11-0.
I think the Patriots are going to load up and try to stop the Broncos running game and force Brock Osweiler to beat them. And I don't have any conviction after last week's outing to see how Brock Osweiler is unbeat the Patriots. So I got the Patriots.
All right, Bill. Monday Night Football.
The Monday night game is the Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns.
I bet they wish they could change games like how Sunday Night Football can. But too bad. You got this ugly one. I wanted Manziel here so he could start, which that reminds me, let's get this out of the way. My worst coach of the year goes to Mike Pettin for life. He is in the Jim Schwartz club. Get him out of there. Cleveland, you deserve better. You have Manziel and you love him. The fans went nuts when they found out they picked Manziel up in the draft. And now you should be chanting Mike Pettin's name even if they win out just because he is not a good coach anymore. Get him out of there. I have the Browns winning this, but only because Baltimore is going to start Matt Schaub.
I mean, Baltimore is in some serious issues on running back front. They're without Justin Forsett. He broke his arm. They're without Joe Flacco. I mean, they're a mess, and I have the Browns.
You know what's crazy? They are just right now, because of all the injuries, they are almost at the same level of least talented team like the Titans. That's sad, and it's not their fault. They deserve better too, Baltimore, but seriously, I'm not sad too much about this at all. I only wish Houston could have played the Ravens this year.
The Ravens had their run, and it's time for them to rebuild.
Yeah, honestly, I have a grudge against Baltimore. They always got in the Texans' way for me.
The glory days are over.
Yeah, but anyway, Bill, we have one more game. Thursday Night Football returns on CBS for 1 week, and you know why, Bill. Who's going to play in that game?
For 1 week and 1 week only, it's Aaron Rodgers, the Messiah, against the Detroit Lions.
I have the Lions taking this. They beat them in Lambeau. They're going to do it again. It'll be fun. I'm calling a 21-18 game.
I have the Detroit Lions sweeping the Green Bay Packers in Detroit. And then we can bring out the brooms and sweep Aaron Rodgers out of our building.
He can't tell you guys. He can't tell everyone to RELAX, relax. But Bill, here's your homework for next week. If you can find out, when was the last time the Lions swept the Packers? That's what you need to find out, Bill.
It's definitely not in the last 21 years or 25 years.
So that'll be interesting. But anyway, I think that'll do it for this Thanksgiving edition of Football Talks. Bill, do you have anything to say?
Nope, I'm good.
I say have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you guys next week. It should be a fun slate of games. So yeah, looking forward to week 13. We'll see you guys later.
Merry Thanksgiving!